A bipartisan delegation of U.S. lawmakers went to Taiwan this week. It was led by Mike Gallagher, the chair of the Select Committee on China, and they met with Taiwan's president. There's a bipartisan support for the U.S.-Taiwan partnership, which Chairman Gallagher described as, quote, stronger and more rock solid than ever. But would the U.S. really come to Taiwan's aid if China did attack? And while China is unlikely to launch a ground invasion here, the cyber attacks are growing. This week, AT&T customers and others face widespread outages due to what the company called a failed software update. But Republican Senator Marco Rubio warns that cell phone outage pales in comparison to what a real Chinese cyber attack would look like. Joining us to discuss the threat from Beijing, South Dakota Congressman Dusty Johnson. Congressman, welcome. Thank you for being here. It's not just you and Chairman Gallagher and Senator Rubio. The head of the FBI is warning about potential cyber attacks. And I don't want to unnecessarily alarm people, but they need to hear the truth. So what is Chris Wray talking about? He's now twice warned us about what could be coming.
Oh, the Chinese Communist Party, they have invested tremendous resources, Trey, in cyber attack capability, and they are good at this. They're working with some of the most expert proxies in the world. And you're right, these attacks are already a daily part of life in Taiwan. When we were there the last few days, we heard that we're talking about 20 million attacks a month. The Taiwanese military alone is suffering 3,000 attacks a day. From the CCP and their partners. This is a real threat.
Congressman, do you think the U.S. militarily, would the American people support a military defense of Taiwan if China were to attack? And I ask because there's this growing dove wing within the Republican Party. And I guess our policy toward China has the word ambiguity in it, strategic ambiguity. I'm not smart enough to know what that means. Maybe it's so ambiguous, it's fooled me. But do you think the U.S. would really defend Taiwan if China attacked?
Listen, I'm a Reagan Republican, Trey, peace through strength. But more than anything, more than saber rattling, what we need to do is make sure that Taiwan has the tools they need to defend themselves. We're doing a pretty terrible job of that right now. There is a $20 billion backlog in arms sales. Again, these are not giveaways. These are arms that the Taiwan government has already paid for, agreed to pay for. And we're not doing a good enough job of making sure that they get what they need to defend themselves. This doesn't have anything to do with Ukraine. This is things like F-16 fighters that we have just had a hard time delivering to Taiwan. If we want to avoid war, and everyone should want to avoid war, we need to make sure that deterrence is in place. That is going to mean a strong Taiwan military.
Look, it's a long trip to Taiwan. The fact that you went should mean something to your colleagues. What will your message be to them when you see them again on the floor of the House? What's your message about Taiwan to your Republican colleagues?
What we heard in Taiwan is the same thing that I heard from Tony Blair, the former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, when he visited Congress here maybe 2 years ago now. He said, y'all's political dysfunction is a global security threat. When America is mature, when we are responsible, when we are calm, the world is a safe place. Trey, when we are bickering and fighting and snarling at one another, when we are beset by gridlock, the world is a more dangerous place. Putin loves American dysfunction. Xi Jinping loves American dysfunction. Iran, North Korea, all the bad guys love American dysfunction. And so when we dither over whether or not we will support our allies in Israel, Ukraine, and Taiwan, the bad guys win. We got to pull it together.
Thank you for joining us on a Sunday night, and thank you for taking the time away from your family and all the other things you could be doing in South Dakota to go visit Taiwan. That's not an easy trip, so thank you for doing that.
Thank you, Trey, and you're exactly right about Gallagher. We're going to miss him.